All right. As this thing fires off, maybe. All right. All right, all right, all right. Well, I'm checking the delay. We're here. It's Saturday. If you are unaware of the day of the week, which means good RPG talk. I'm Sean. I'll be your host for the next hour. Appreciate everybody showing up. Good to see everybody. If you're a first timer here and starting out at the beginning of this awesome live stream or even VOD, I'm Sean and I like tabletop RPGs. I'm coming to you live from my mom's basement. Good to see everybody in the chat. Doing roll call here in just a second as soon as I crack open my refreshing, sparkling, expensive water. How's everybody doing? Let's see. I think we had Ryan show up. As always, thanks for opening the doors, Ryan. He is a set of keys. I said, hey, since you're here, every morning, every Saturday, really early, I don't want you sitting out in the weather and being cold. So I just gave him a set of keys. So he's tasked with opening the doors. Who's good to see ya? Shambot, good to see ya. Blake, Wayne, good to see ya. And then I think I could go over here. Jake, good to see ya. Morning. Matt, Harrigan, good to see ya. Keith, morning. Mr. White, good to see ya. Orcus Dorcas, morning for California as we deal with some Stormwatch 2025. How am I going to get my avocado toast in this weather? Well, you just have to go down the 45 down to Sacramento, cross over Wilshire, take the 405 west. You should probably just hop there. Laramie, good to see ya. Gabe, good to see ya. Thanks, Ryan, for the check. Appreciate it. So far, so good. So just as an FYI, everybody's like, first of all, they helped me out in making sure my sound and audio and video is good because, well, things are bound to happen. I redid my entire OBS. Not entirely, but I did recreate all the scenes. I might have taken out some maybe overhead and things of that nature, hoping that it doesn't crash when I share my screen. I think somebody mentioned like sharing specifically was a problem. Blake's getting buffering already, which is fantastic. So we'll see how this goes. I'm still using OBS. I did create setup in Meld. Meld is another platform. But what I had read about Meld is that OBS uses a bunch of encoders to help like load things using the GPU and things of that nature, where Meld doesn't use encoders. So they say that Meld takes on a bigger burden, which is not what I'm looking for. That's not what I want. So we'll see. If this goes smoothly, then great. Well, great. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, well, I mean, it's good to have a cave, I guess, for the most part. Anyways, so Miles is just cut to the chase and get this thing underway, shall we? Let's see. Let's do it. Experience points. I should put a whoosh on that. Experience points. So we've talked about initiative systems. We've talked about what makes a good game master. We talked about meta currencies, experience points. Now with experience points, it used to be where it was always level based. Not so much anymore. There's games that use them in different ways and different forms. So I guess where do we start with experience points? I guess I want to ask about the system that you appreciate the most. We'll start there with that question and spurring discussion, right? So some experience point systems And well, it depends, Sean, what game it is. Yep, it does. So it almost coincides with, like, I like this game because it has a great experience system or mechanics and what it does. I mean, let's face it, experience points are an incentive system, and it's usually, if you want the characters to do something or in play, it's always a good thing to give them the carrot, give them the incentives. So if going to get gold doesn't do anything for them, well, then why would they want to go and get gold? Like, if they never have the chance to buy anything or be rewarded for slaying monsters, then they don't feel compelled to have to slay monsters in order to, increase their overall character, right? Their tune. And if it's as simple as, well, I just like the standard experience points, monsters, and gold, great. In addition, well, we'll start there because it might get overwhelming and see what we're talking about here as we kind of go through that. So let's see. So some of the systems, just to kind of, some people are like just waking up, may not remember all the different type of experience point systems that you've probably had in the past. I mean, if you're playing one game consistently for a long time, it's going to be a pretty straightforward question. But otherwise, and there may be experience point systems that I'm not completely totally aware of. Oh, excuse me. Wow. So you've got like Apocalypse World, Mark XP, right? When you fail. I think for most of them, at least Dungeon World was. I haven't played every Apocalypse World. Powered by the Apocalypse World. Powered by the Apocalypse. There's standard kind of D&D, right? Not only with D&D, like if you take experience points, like how are they awarded? What do they do? How can you use them? Like in some classic D&D, characters level based on experience points, but in some versions of D&D, each class has different experience point level thresholds for the amount of experience points to hit the next level. Then they got away with that and say, well, everybody levels at 1,000 XP. Everybody levels at next level 3,000. Da 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 da. There's a lot to unpack with this particular topic, but that's kind of the deal, right? Like when you talk about initiative and meta currencies, there's a lot to unpack there too. So I figured let's start with the one that you like. So let's talk about that. So there is, XP based on monsters, XP based on treasure. There may be specifics like, okay, Silver Raiders is, you get XP for silver that you acquire during adventuring. Like that's it. It's not, I'm going to open a tavern, I'm going to make a bunch of silver, and I'm just going to level up my tune, right? It's like specific to adventuring. There is some of the freely games, which it's like a checklist of like 10 things. Did you do this? You get an XP. You do this? You get an XP. You do this? There's also milestone. Now, not to be confused with how you reward XP, because that may be a whole nother piece of this discussion, right? So we're gonna have I given you a good enough box to start out in? Maybe. Mike M, good morning. I'm eager to gain some experience and maybe spend it on some new goodies. This guy. Getting some freezing. Okay. Smooth here. All right. People talking about the stream. Let's get down. I'm scrolling down here. All right. I think you start at 0 XP. Well, that's a good starting point, right? And obviously, when we're talking about experience points, the game has to have some type of experience points. If it doesn't, then that game probably doesn't apply to this. What does experience point to? It's rude to point in my experience. Oh God, here we go. You talking XP or core character improvement or advancement, which is another piece. Yes. Well, I think it's a combination starting out, Hoos. Like, what experience point kind of system do you prefer and why? Because it could go to how it's used. It could, and you could say with experience point systems, it's like the whole shebang, and it may be like, it might incorporate 3 to 4 things, but you may like half of those. You know, if there's 4 components of the experience point system in the game, you might like 3 of them. And that bubbles it up to the top, because there's some, I think some of us appreciate some experience point systems, some components of experience point systems, but not all of them, right? Like, some may say, well, for adventuring, it's great, but I don't want to just reward characters for killing monsters. So I don't like that piece, but I like awarding it ad hoc. Like, there's that too. There's also like, well, I got to get out my calculator, put in all the hit dice of the monsters, add up all the experience points, divide it by each player character in the party. That method, right? Like, very by the book accounting, if you will, type of experience points. Hoos. Roger, good to see ya. In addition to XP handed out for doing things, I sell XP. Sell. So this is also, if you've got an interesting one, I'm all ears. Thanks, Roger. I sell XP to my players for 1 gold per XP. In my games, it pushes exploration and treasure hunting and gives them something to spend gold on, which is it's like kind of at the core, right? If you want your characters to do something, you gotta give them the reward. You gotta ring the bell. Bing! Oh. That is my salivation sound effect. That you're welcome. I do like Shadowdark carousing mechanic. That's good. So for those of you not in the know, Ryan's referring to Shadowdark. You get experience points, gold, and you can spend it on carousing and tables, and then the result of those things can give you additional experience points. GrumpyCon morning. Laramie says, for me, we're going with standard fantasy. I don't love having to shoehorn all classes to leveling at the same time. I like asynchronous leveling. And as far as giving XP, feat of experience for the win. Mike says, I prefer skill-based game versus level-based games. Fair. Some of those still have kind of an XP. And I should probably stipulate, like when I was doing kind of some thinking around and putting this together, some of my sources would equate like Call of Cthulhu, for example. You don't get XP because it's a skill-based system, to Mike's point. And if you fail, you like Delta Green. You fail, you check it, and then you can roll after that to see if you can increase it. So I would say I would lump that into probably an experience point umbrella, if you will. So I get it, Mike. I have yet to find a game that scratches both itches. Yeah. Not a tune. Also in OSR or Outcast Silver Raider, silver for jobs is a thing, a big thing. It is. Yes, it is. You get into some, I think it's kind of a little bit of a gray area, but I agree. Yeah, I agree. If you get silver for the thing, like doing the task or something, yes. Yeah. Wayne, if we're talking about incentives/rewards, I like Shadowdark's simple XP for gold. I also like YZE's simple question and answer gets at what the PC should be doing. If you have not looked at experience points for many of the Free League's Year Zero engine-based games and some of the derivatives, right? Some of the folks that are in the community that are making things off the YZE engine, if you will, often incorporate that 7 to 10 point checkbox and it's always at the end of the session, typically at the end of the session. And it's literally just asking a question. So with that, the nice thing about that is here is everything that you will get rewarded on while you play this game. So if you want to do well or not optimize your character, but increase or advance them, their skills and things of that nature, which is also, Mike, to your point, in Free Leagues games, you get XP based on that checklist, but you spend that XP in order to increase your talents or choose talents or increase your abilities and skills, which is kind of an interesting one as well. But if you haven't looked at YZE's like checkboxes, you could incorporate that into many different games. As a matter of fact, you could, yeah. And you could tweak it to like, if you want to increase like monster slaying, and it's a level-based system, and you keep it kind of, 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, 7, there's 5,000, 10,000, 15, whatever that increment is like in 5e, you could always bump those values up as your campaign moves and then ask those questions and people could advance that way. Anyways, I like incremental advancement that many skill-based systems use, a la Hernmaster. Yeah. Blades in the Dark, XP list by your profession, list by your crew type. God, I wish I knew Blades in the Dark much better. I don't. I know of it. I've played it once, twice. Oh, I see what you're saying, Mike. Oh, there it is. Yeah, too low. See, I set up my screen and then I didn't. Hold on a second. I'll fix that. I'm like, hopefully that'll work better. Let me see. There, that's probably better. Thanks for the heads up, Mike. That's one thing I didn't test. So, Cortex has fabulous XP in various games, often tied to specific person, character, goals, or issue. YZE games borrow their XP approach, question your answer at the end, heavily from PBTA. Oh, huh. Cortex, and a few other older small press games. Good to know. History is written by the successors. Oh, shots fired. What are you saying? What are you saying, Sean? Like, Powered by the Apocalypse is like, failed against Year Zero engine? Is that what you're saying? No. Let's see. I have certain preferences depending on the system, but what I don't like is milestone and or willy-nilly ad hoc GM decides now is a good time in the narrative to level up and advance. Well, that's another thing too, which is a different component, but it also ties into experience because I'm like, has anybody just had a game that's based on experience points and just canned that? Like, what it's supposed to do is this. I'm wiping it off the face of the earth, and I'm just going to do it either milestone, or I'm just going to tell you when you level. How about that? If you're in a level-based system, and you're like, how much XP do we get? And you're like, well, everybody gets 1,000, and you, Orcus, you got a bonus because you did good role-playing, so here's an extra 1,500 for you. Super great. Okay, where are you at? What level are you at? And then what happens when people miss, and then they don't get the XP, and then they start sliding down. Like, there's all that stuff, right? Okay, everybody, it's the 5th session. Everybody gets this. There's one game that gets XP for every session, right? What is it? I think it's not Shadowdark. Is it? Well, it's Free League stuff, right? Did you partake in a session? Check. Any character improvement in advance, it should be an incentive to get players to do what the GM general setting wants them to do. Indeed, should. Look at that. Look at that. Bold. Should. Marjorie, good to see you. Oh, you made it. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Lack of possibility of character advancement and development is too much like real life. One of my GMs gives XP for cool actions. That's true. I mean, there is the, hey, I'm just going to throw these out. Dole them out. Like some people will appreciate that and some will just hate that. Like I want it to be defined on a thing. Like it's got to be codified, right? I don't want this ambiguity, like subjective type of thing, right? A lot of people hate it getting XP for good role playing, right? Oh, good role playing. Here you go. Oh, you role played your character very well. Touche. Here, 50 extra XP. And then everybody that doesn't role play really well, whatever that means, then's like, huh, great. I like the method that Dragonbane uses a mark for each critical success or failure as well as asking the questions. Well, it's funny with like Dungeon World and some of the Powered by the Apocalypse is when you fail, you mark, right? Same with like Delta Green. If you fail, you check the skill. I think it's called Cthulhu as well, right? You check if you fail, and then so you get better while you fail. Because is that a thing? Like, can we kind of equate that to how we go through life? Fail a lot, you're super awesome at it? I don't know. Yeah, thanks, Laramie. He says hit like friends. Hit likes, everybody. Skill-based, I prefer the Delta Green chance for advancement upon a failed roll, implying you are learning from your mistakes. Case in point. Morning, Michael. Good to see you. Stefan, good to see you. You heard that Brett was going to be here? Well, hate to disappoint you, buddy. I know you've always found Brett more attractive than myself, Stefan, but that's okay. That's okay. Idea. During session 0, customize advancement for each character based on PC goals. Hey! Have you done that, Hoos, or has that just come to you? Sean, you might want to move the scroll up. Got it. All right. Geez, now I know how far down I am. Look at this guy, Craig Shipman, everybody, Third Floor Wars. Am I the only player who doesn't care about mechanical advancement in games? Player, I don't know, man. Maybe. I guess if you're a player, it's okay if you don't care. But as a game master, that might be a problem. I got to admit too, Craig, I will get points. Like my buddy Joe will be playing Castles and Crusades, right? Pretty trad game. Give me a bunch of XP. I put it on my sheet. Man, if I don't do it right at that point, I come to the next session just not having done it. Because I appreciate kind of the things that a character may get, but that for me is not the huge thing in the game, right? Like, for example, Harrigan's going to run Outcast Silver Raiders. I would only want advancement, personally, from a character perspective, because I don't want 5 hit points for 20 sessions, right? I don't want my character to be so vulnerable. I want it to be able to withstand some weather and some storms, right? Weather some storms. But it's not to like get the next talent so I can be the better, greater thing. And there's lots of games that is the deal. So I can empathize. Stafford says, I do like RPGs where players spend their XP to improve their characters. Everybody's like, God, he's so far behind. Wait till he catches up. I do like player-decided goals and XP or game rewards for achieving their player goals. William, good morning. Laramie says, I've been tempted to run an all-charlatan game of Hackmaster 4, a class that spends XP to gain skills from any class, but has no ability of their own beyond that ability. Interesting. Michael is enlightening me. Exalted Essence has an excellent experience system based on story beats. Players earn personal, minor, major, and exalt milestones. Players know what they need to do to earn them. Good stuff. Thanks for letting me know. Larry, good to see you. My ear trumpet has been struck by lightning. Thanks for being a supporter of the show. I appreciate it. I've played Serenity RPG in the past. I don't care for Cortex. It's too swingy for me. Milestone doesn't work for me because in the games I run, we have players and characters drop in and out, and the classes have different XP tracks. Yeah. That's another thing, too. Like, okay, well, you know, if we're going to do XP by the book, it works until, oh, somebody's not there. Or what happens when a character dies? Right? How much XP does my new character, I will say character in this context too, not have somebody leave the stream. But like, that's a thing. I gotta say, I don't see too many role-playing games. Not that this is, you know, the bar is not that high. You know, I don't have libraries like some of you folks, but Outcast Silver Raiders, I gotta say, they've got a very interesting kind of death mechanic, and I don't know if that's derived from anything. Harrigan, is that derived from anything? He knows. Since he brought it up earlier, like some of the things that have been derived, like YZE brought some from PBTA. But if you're not familiar with Outcast Silver Raiders, there's a video on this channel. You could check it out. But in that, if your character dies, the group can pay homage to your character. So they can spend silver, and then the person, and then they can make another character, and then the money that they spent in homage to your fallen character is experience points. And there's a threshold, right? They can't spend 10,000 and you start out with a character at the 10,000 experience level. There's a limit, but there's a component of that, right? So they can all pool in, and so that your next character doesn't start at, you know, level 1. If you have an heir, you can, so that's the thing. It would be an heir, right, that you would call in, and they would get that experience. If you hire a hireling or a mercenary, then depending on either one, you can so if it's a mercenary, they're a little more well-trained, and they can have a certain amount of XP to start with and bring in that homage tithe that the party had put together and also add that. So if the mercenary is of the same class, you get a little bit of a bonus incentive too. So I think it's pretty impressive. Just for the record, I'm a first level character and I already have a hireling because I'll probably die and I'll just give my stuff to him. I don't want my RPGs to reflect real life. Yeah, true. I think I know where you're coming from, Jake. But there's real life, and then there is like verisimilitude, right? Like I want to feel it. Like that's the trade-off. Like, hey, we're in the world of dragons and magic and stuff, but then people talk about falling from a mountain and wanting to live. Suspension of disbelief. Stephanie, yeah, I never liked XP for roleplay. And am I being fair? Am I being impartial? Or am I playing favorites? Yeah. Tad, good to see you. Just a thought, who said up above. Yeah, I hear you. Mike says, when I ran a game, I used to award advancement in specific skills for taking on difficult or challenging uses for skills. I had someone shoot a grenade from the air, and I awarded them advancement for it. Okay. I think it also, like, if you lay it out and kind of so there is what you want your characters to do and incentivize them, like, real cool, man, extra XP, but also like laying those things out and how they're awarded. Because then if they're like documented and everybody can read them, then I think it starts to remove some of that weird subjectiveness and like bias, like Stefan alludes to, and we've all kind of been subject to it. Mike continues, helps get characters to push themselves and the narrative, right? There's a whole incentive thing behind it for sure. But it matters if the game is 0 to hero or if you start off with competent PCs. Yeah. Always like leveling in the Black Hack. You level when you go on a number of adventures equal to your level. Oh, that's an interesting one. I should probably get a video and highlight all of the very interesting ways experience is done or awarded to that point, right? Because there's so many different ways. And I think as game masters, we don't know what we don't know. And so if we haven't played the Black Hack, and that sounds kind of cool, we might have come up with it on our own, but maybe I didn't think about it. And I just play the Black Hack or read the rule book, and it's like, oh, I want to bring that into my OSE game or whatever, right? That's kind of the point of this a little bit, is to shed a little light on some of the things that are out there. In many OSR games, doesn't HP equal narrative armor? Oof, oof, oof. Harrigan has confirmed, I've never seen the OSR death/air mechanic anywhere else. I got to say, it's fantastic. I really like that mentality. Like, back in the D&D days, the yellow character sheets, I hereby bequeath all my worldly possessions. Like, you had a will on your character sheet. And then how many people would actually, like, I, give it to my brother, and then my brother's my next character. Or the character just raid the character sheet, character stuff anyway. Tim Jensen, good to see you. I like how Fate does character advancement. Players get to fine-tune or rewrite their aspects. Craig says, I do believe good design has the advancement reward the play the game is designed to support. If you don't want your game to be all combat, you better not have XP for killing monsters. For sure. Forbidden Lands makes it clear what the game's supporting by how you get XP, right? And Craig is alluding to, because it's a Year Zero engine by Free League, it's that, 10 question check box. And the nice thing is you'll get players that won't hit every one of those questions, right? Somebody will do a heroic deed, and the rest of the party maybe not so much. So they get one extra during the session, but it doesn't tilt things so crazy, right? Well, that puts me up 2 more levels than the rest of the group. No. XP for roleplay, make the players decide the best RP of the session for that extra cost. Well, how about that? Let's talk about that, Who's, for just a second. How many people actually run a game and award XP based on what the players at the table want to, like, divvy out? Like, to Who's point, hey, I was going to do that in Shadowdark a little bit, right? Like, who is the player character of the session? Everybody, like, weigh in. Who for whatever reason. It could have been role play. It could be heroic deed. Could be they share the spotlight. It could be anything. But you leave it up to the players to decide who should get the little extra cookie, right? Or, he continues, GM gives meta currency for good role play to use during that session. That's one thing. Constant buffering, fantastic. got 5% drop frames. I don't know if that's big or bad. Maybe it's on my side, Blake. I don't know. God, it's just frustrating. That's a burning wheel thing, isn't it, Hoos? My GM does that and other elective XP awards at the end of our sessions. There was something about burning wheel I had looked at, but I don't remember. And then he says it's XP bonus mine to you. Jim, morning. Good to see you. I will say, Harrigan says, generally hate XP for gold unless it's the rare circumstance where the PCs only care about treasure, which is why I also don't like the trophy games. He's going to run Outcast Silver Raiders. Which is where you only get XP for silver. It's going to be good times, man. I know when he read that, he was like, oh, shit. I also smile when people say gold for XP. I think I caught up. Yeah. Paranoia RPG, the worst character advancement system or the best ever? What is it? I don't even know for Paranoia. Jim says, I came in late, but I've often had a player-selected MVP award for each session. Winner gets some bonus XP. So for those of you that kind of came in late, experience points, like what system is good that you like, some of the, maybe unique ways that you've handled experience points, what experience point systems turn you off? Like, I don't like this, I don't like that. Harrigan says, not true, Sean. You also get XP for the rewards factions give you. Ah. Does that say that in the player's guide? It's very stringent, like silver. Blah. I'll take your word for it since you're running it. My GM does embodiment, role-playing, team worker, and MVP bonus XP votes at the end of our session. Sean, it's above your security clearance as far as paranoia goes. That's an awesome response, Tim. Hello, computer. Yeah, buffer. Sounds like in Australia. Is it an Australia thing? XP for gold is obviously worse than XP for silver. XP for copper must be even better. What about the system where players have a pool of XP to award for interaction with their characters by other PCs? I can see where this breaks, but who knows, says Mike. Well, and that's another thing, too, when you start using XP for meta currency. Like, you get XP, and then you can use that to do different things in the game. And then it may not be for specific, like, character advancement, right? Cypher system utilizes XP in game to mechanically affect the story. It's also used to level up abilities and skills. It's case in point. There you go. You either get players who will only use XP for leveling or mostly in the game. Thanks, Ryan, for shedding some light. That was one that was kind of missing on me. Which is tricky, right? Like our game masters sometimes, I mean, hey, I know you got this thing. I'm going to spend 50 XP. That didn't happen. Suck it, GM. Lloyd, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I hope lunch is tasty. Lloyd, I think you're out in the UK, right, Lloyd? Which would put him out 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if I'm calculating my daylight savings time correctly. Hey, Lloyd, what are you having for lunch? Share it with everybody. XP, man. Oh. And Jeff, like, we just got experience points in Castles and Crusades after like 4 sessions. 4 sessions, no XP. What the hell is going on, Joe? Well, then there's the whole calculating it. He's like, by my calculation, right? So you got to get out the monsters and you got to get out their hit dice and all. Okay. Patrick Mullen, thanks for the super chat. As always, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. When preparing a campaign for a setting in GURPS, one of the biggest considerations is not only awarding XP, but deciding what it could be spent on, as they are just character points. Yeah, for sure. Skill-based, right? Heavy skill-based stuff. Experience, you only get it after you actually need it. It really goes to show setting, time, and pace really impact that what experience is all about in tabletop or RPG. Yeah. Yep. Laramie to Stefan, thus is life. That's true, right? XP. Not sure what Cypher system XP for game mechanics is supposed to be modeling. That's another discussion. Yeah. It's been a while since I've read Cypher. I think it's been since Gaming MBS since I started writing. I had the Cypher core rulebook, and then I don't have it anymore. Yeah, experience points. Which ones are not? I know some people mention like the ones that get like for gold, not big fans of. My favorite is probably got to be more along the lines of the Year Zero engine checkboxes. Even if I wanted to play in a different game. Shadowdark isn't a terrible one for me either. Like I kind of like the spending of the gold to get more XP, but that has like they tied into potential story plots, right? If you roll on carousing tables, there's something that may happen in those carousing things that also could propel a particular session or story elements. XP for gold acquired? Ha 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 ha. No. Is anybody just like, okay, I know I don't like the experience points in the system, but I'm going to play it rules as written, true to the nature of what the author intended. I am going to run base red box basic to the T. Whether I like it or not, it's going to be this. I've always wanted to kind of do that. Like, here's the deal. I mean, there's other games we do that for, right? Like some of the bigger, maybe more crunchier games, right? I will say, as a very lazy human, DCC's XP system is nice. How hard was the event? 0 to 4 XP. That's a good one. Yeah. Other fans chime in. Yeah. Roger says you should definitely run something raw before changing the rules just to see what the creators originally intended. Yeah. And then like scratch your head and go, what? Ugh. Patrick says generally I award experience points for attendance, accomplishing a group goal for everybody, something for accomplishing a personal goal for a character, and a superior RP moment award. Yeah, those are some good check boxes. Sean, we did that at CheapCon one year with Redbox. That was the beginning of the dead nail. Uh-oh. I rarely run raw, as some parts of systems can be fiddly and other systems seem to break and play. Yeah. Superior role-playing moment award I give out is always voted on by the players they nominate. I'm glad you added that, Patrick, because there's always something of an opinion when it's like the game master thinks it's a good role-playing moment, and so they just arbitrarily pick, define that in their brain and award it, right? So it's cool that you kind of leave it to the table. Yeah, but sometimes you see something more clearly. Roger continues. All right. Speaking of Redbox, tomorrow I am running the B7 Rahasha adventure, but for TOV. Tales of the Valiant? Sean, I really do like XP for rolling 6 in a lot of PBTA. One, it feels right because we all have learned from a hard fail, right? So 6 or under, mark XP, right? Is what he's referring to. and it softens the blow for the player part of the player character. Well, that's true, right? You get like the wah, wah. Oh, XP. Oh, well, I should probably mark that. Some people like fail, fail, fail. Yay! Right, I have a character sheet stabbed onto the dead nail character nail. That's what he's talking about when Laramie mentions the dead nail. Okay, now it's all coming together. Thanks, Ryan. Roll for Shoes Awards, XP for failed rolls. Okay, all right. Stefan say, yep, TOV, Tiles Valiant. Got it. Jim says, because it wants you to roll a lot regarding roll for shoes. I've awarded XP for players' own good roleplay. Not something I decide, but rather something they identify in debrief after each session. Okay. Okay. I think we beat this dead horse. We good? Oh, Tim's continuing. XP for failure also encourages players to keep doing things. Touche. Touche. Turtles aren't going to get very far. That's true. Crit table. Yeah, that's whoo. Get out the crit table. Woohoo. Okay. All right, let's move on. That's good stuff. Thank you everybody for participating in the discussion today. Much appreciated. Let's get into print news, shall we? Or RPG news. RPG news. I don't have much. Well, actually, I better close this and see and refresh. I don't know why I bookmarked this. Okay. Well, we'll get to it. Whatever. It's not really news. It's more of a resource. So, I came across this. It's on thoughtpunks.com. It's an open source tabletop role-playing game resources reference page. So if you are looking for some things like around open licenses, what they do, things that you can use to reference if you're a creator and want to put things out there, I thought some of the links in this could be helpful to folks. There's a list of open system reference document websites. There's some open games that you can create for that don't have any issues for people that create them. I'm sure it's like, as long as you just say that you're not part of this, like Shadowdark has a disclaimer where it's like, you just have to say that it's not put out by the official Shadowdark people, our arcane library, and you're fine. And that it's for use, right? But this art, there's a few links here for art and some other resources, more SRDs. Look at all these SRDs. It's pretty crazy. Fantastic. More games. So I'll put this in the chat. You guys can all look at it. You nerds. You gaming nerds. I know I had more than just that. What did I have? What is going on here? I don't know. What is going on here? Bundles. Should I go to bundles? If I probably have more news, that's probably somewhere else. Let's go to bundles. I got one. I think that's like newer. Never Going Home. Anybody playing this? I'm pretty sure I knew when this. I mentioned this on stream when it was crowdfunding, and it's come up a couple times. Either like deal of the day, it's come up, but if you want to check this out, World War occult tabletop role-playing game set in the horror-haunted trenches of World War I. Never Going Home, the 1916 Battle of Somme, Torre, opened the veil between Earth and the occult world beyond. Anybody play this? Never Going Home? Harrigan, I have it. I will never run it. The amount of games that Harrigan probably has that he will never run is just, dude. Psalm. All right, well, it's a Psalm. Sean, there's a PF1 bundle out if people jam. Is that on Humble Bundle, Laramie? God, Pathfinder seems like it's at a bundle every month. Got so much stuff. Bundle. Let's see. Classic. It's at the Classic Mega Bundle. I haven't gone over that one yet. Oof, this thing. Look at this thing. Part 3. Some Frog God games in there. That's why Laramie's aware of it, right? All these things. So it's more Pathfinder third party, right? That's what I'm getting. There's some 5e stuff in here. Wow, it's a lot of stuff. Frog God and Kobold in the house. Look at this. Still scrolling. Holy buckets. Like, what is the threshold? Is like $50 recommended? $2,500 raised. What's the charity? Charity is Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. Good charity. Sean, can I Discord it? I got it right here, right? Is this the one, right? I think that's it for bundles. There's tons of bundles on Drive-Thru RPG and Itch that usually come up too. If you go to Geek Native, they've got a list of them. I usually just hit the ones that are from Humble Bundle and Bundle Holding. So sorry, folks. Sorry, forks. Park's closed. Moose out front should have told you. Should we go to print news? Print news. I know I'm gonna miss something because I bookmarked it earlier and it's not in my list, and I'm like, why? Why is it not there? Like, I had something about Critical Role. Print news. Let's see. Maybe this is. Yeah, it went into the print news part. I don't know why. Yeah, go figure. So what are you going to do? Anyways, I wanted to bring this up. I know we may have some critters in the chat, maybe some not so critters, and that's fine. We brought up Critical Role on occasion. We are all, some of us are maybe envious of their situation. I don't know. Some of us are not fans, whatever. But I don't want their accomplishments not to go completely unnoticed, and now they're coming out with their not their 10-year plan, but they have a expanding in 5 areas. Like, it's the reason I bring up Critical Role on occasion is because some of us have been doing this a long time, and they have, for a variety of reasons, have caught success. And it's only to show people, in my humble opinion, what is possible. And it may not be like, hey, I want to do something like Critical Role and do an actual play, and I want to be the top streaming, show on Twitch. Like, it doesn't have to be that. But the point is that you can do things, you can design games, you can put out an actual play. You may not need $1 million Kickstarter to find success. But you can put out a Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign, be successful in your own way. And, if it's just, I think maybe to give you some, maybe incentive, not incentive, maybe inspiration. I don't know. And if this isn't of value to you, that's all right. I get it. So they just 10th anniversary. They've been around for 10 years. So some of the things that they've got ahead of them, like into 5 areas: a video game, back to streaming and more live shows, right? The sellout of Dimension 20 in Madison Square Garden, crazy. If you can go on tour, like that's how bands make a lot of their money nowadays, right? If they go that route, so that are looking at those details. The company plans to announce its 2026 live show slate in the spring. So it takes a little bit of planning and logistics. So look for live shows in 2026. Daggerheart's official release, so their game, which is funny, is when I look through some of these, I'm like, Daggerheart. I wonder if that'll be the thing that doesn't make as much money out of all the things, right? Which is weird coming from a role-playing game centric thing. Books and TV. O'Brien, who fronts CR's publishing push, said he was excited about the slate of books the team's rolling out, including Der Katzenprinz children's book he wrote in collaboration with Penguin Random House. And Critical Role also released its Vox Machina Stories Untold short story collection this month. Regal said O'Brien was developing an idea for a TV show, and Ray was developing an idea for a TV show and graphic novel. Talk about the ability to be super creative. And then more animation. Said the cast was in the thick of recording 2 seasons of animation in partnership with Prime Video. And then in the works, experiential offerings. A long-running inside joke among the co-founders and their fandom is the idea of a Critical Role land theme park. Wow. Similar to Disney World. The crew has taken to this idea so far that they have made theme park T-shirts with a name on them. Now they just need the right partners, they said. So there you go. Good on them. Right. I did not know this. Do you guys know this? Some of the Free League fans? I did not know this. Free League will release 2 new Lord of the Rings starter sets. One will be for the One Ring, and then one will be for the Lord of the Rings role-playing, which is 5e. So one 5e starter set and one Year Zero engine, I guess native, if you will. It'll come into retail in July. So I think some people had complaints about the original starter set, the adventure in the original starter set. So condensed rules also comes with a complete adventure for players to run through over hill and under hill, which takes them into the wild lands of Eriador. The set also comes with a full color map of Eriador and the standees of heroes and adversaries, as well as dice. It will retail for $24.99 US. So there you go. Oh, I should probably put these links in there, huh? Here's one. Yeah, there's been a few comments on that. We've got a few players that have mentioned there. I think it was kind of hard to do things in that starter set in the original starter box, that adventure. Yeah, and Harrigan says I think they'll address that, which hopefully it will. Let's see. Next one. So this is Ian World. I usually pull up Ian World stuff they kind of consolidate print news info. So some of those were news. Some of them are print. Now we're into legit print news. Thanks for Ian World. Go over there and click on all their ads. So Dungeon Denizens, DCC. Some of the folks I know, I think even Wayne in the chat has gotten his Dungeon Denizens. And then I think they just kicked off Kickstarter for Dungeon Denizens 2. Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, whatever platform they're using. So this is DCC and D&D 2024 edition. So, 2024 edition, is that the moniker we're going with now? I guess. So Dungeon Denizens is a monster of a book. Over 550 fully developed monsters that lurk everywhere. Dungeons, forests, swamps, oceans, mountains, cities, and even other dimensions. That's out. You can grab it. So this is like the Dungeon Denizens game screen is involved in this, for DCC and 5e. 2 Dungeon Delves for DCC and 5e. Next one, Historica Arcanum, The Sigil of Jerusalem. And then Historica Arcanum, Era of the Crusades by Metis Creative. $60 each, hardcover supplements for D&D 2024. I just am not going to be able to... I'm just going to call it New D&D. New D&D. Next one, more DCC stuff. I think there's still a bundle out there for Lankmar DCC on a weird bundle site that I'm not familiar with. I can't remember I should have probably bookmarked that. Tome of Adventure, Volume 1 through 4, Slipcase Special Edition. And then, of course, the Volume 1, 2, 3, and 4 separately. Retail price, $2.19 if you want the slipcase. Otherwise, they're $50 each. And it's like DCC print features, like that are more DCC. Purple Planet Judge's Screen and Tome of Adventure Volume 4, the Purple Planet Limited Edition. It says retail price $10. I got to imagine, it doesn't say for both though. It doesn't, or for each. Lastly, Die Robot, 101 hex encounters on the Purple Planets. Another one, DCC. So DCC just all day long in the print stuff. D&D 2 is next week, I think. DD2? Is that what it is? D&D XP? Oh boy. Let's see. All right, let's get into crowdfunding. Crowdfunding. This one pops up. Osric. Who's getting in on this? Huh? Mythmere Games, Matt Finch. Osric. Updating AD&D. Oh, man. Who owns Osric? Come on, chime in. Who owns Osric? PDF or print, doesn't matter. Who owns it? Who got it? Used to be free. I think it still kind of is, right? First published in 2006. Osric was one of the first games that started the OSR publishing movement, with thousands of adventures and other resources available from third-party publishers. Osric 3, I guess, is updated and revised and relies upon the Common Creative license rather than the Open Game license, which is probably what the original ones were, right? No problem with today's stream. Fantastic. Thanks for letting me know, Mike. Good. It must have fixed the issue, so I'll stick with this. No Osrics? I gotta wait a second for everybody to hear this. Gabe, Jim, and I recently discussing many of us have some version of Osric. I still have my AD&D books. Can't say that for every other edition of D&D. And I think I gave Brett my copy of Osric. I had the spiral bound kind of digest size. The print is not good for these things. Let's see what else. Let's go. Getting long in the tooth here. First one, Zagalthas. Exolunar Collection, 5e edition. 125K. Yeah, this one like slipped under the radar. I mean, it's Canadian, but you know, still. Just kidding, Canadians. Wow, good for them. 15K goal, they hit 125. Booyah. Holy buckets. Festival of the Forgotten, Revelations of the Dark Carnival. Be evil, be magnificent. A new campaign by the Eldritch author and Rick Hines. This is for 5th edition. And then parentheses 2024. Confused. I don't even know what it's D&D. Whatever. Oh, gosh, man. Come on. One Honk, Two Furious. A goose-based tabletop RPG. 1,000 quid goal. It's at 24,000 quid. I'm telling you, if you make it, some people will come. Oh, too hilarious. Wasteland. Degenerates. Merkborg and Cyborg. Because when you want automobiles in your Merc board game, well, here you go. It's all about Mad Max, boys and girls, with vehicular homicide and wasteland mutants. 25K of a 10K goal funded. There you go. That thing will be that'll be seizure-inducing page layout, colors, things of that nature, I'm sure. And I say that with fondness and appreciation because Cyborg is a piece of art for sure. Hearn Quest. More locations for the Hearn world. Medieval fantasy RPG setting. Who's get in on this? System neutral. Most popular pledge, 119 bones. That's U.S. bones. 11,000 of $1,000 goal. Blacklight, modern setting and rules for Shadowdark RPG. I looked at that briefly and I was like, I don't know. First of all, I can't get Groot out of my brain when I look at that front guy. That's just me. It's just me. I don't know. It's funded. Reaver. This guy. Raven God Games. Reaver. I think there was an episode of Reaver covering this game on Analytic Dice, if I'm not mistaken, if you want to know more about it. I know this is not his first swing at this, so it's funded this time. 10K of a 5K goal. So it's coming, folks. Just goes to show you, never give up, never give in, never stop. Let's see, 5E, Secrets of the Grave, or Secrets of the Grave, if you will. Undeed Monstrosities and Spells of Decay from Ian World. That has ended. So most of these on Ian World are in the last legs of their campaigns. So if you get here and watch this, they may be done. But that's not to say that some of them won't take late pledges. Go and check them out if you want. And then I think the last thing I think I almost have to bring up, you guys are probably like, I can't believe this guy hasn't brought up this piece yet, because it's like now the talk of how high will it go. All right. It's the first $1 million RPG campaign of 2025. Shadowdark, man, I don't know. What'd I say? 600 grand? 750? 1.4 mil? And it's like 25 days to go? Whoo. And you know what? Some people aren't happy about this. Tough shit. Haters gonna hate. I'm in on this. I don't care. Shadowdark. Good for Kelsey and Arcane Library and everybody involved. Man. 1.4 mil. What's it gonna hit? Yeah, I said 700K. Ryan said $1. Yeah. It's for... Thank you for the correction, Harrigan. I very much appreciate it. Yeah, and the nice thing about this, I gotta say, okay, other than just it's a Kickstarter and it's a game and, you know, people appreciate it, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, where is it here? Come on, it's 3 different scroll frames here. December 2025 delivery date. December 2025. And I don't have to wait 2 years for this thing. Just saying, not calling anybody out. Now, somebody would say, well, dude, it is only March. So, but I don't know. Did Shadowdark deliver on time last time? Does everybody know? I didn't get on the original. $3 million, Ryan says. Yeah. I think she's local. I think she's from the cradle of gaming, if I'm not mistaken. If you don't like Shadowdark, that's cool. It's okay. Hey, it's okay. You don't have to play it. It's okay. Just in case some folks come in or they're stewing in the chat, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay in your world. It will. I assure you. You could play other games and have an enjoyable time. It's all right. This can go right across your radar and don't even worry about it. It's okay. All right. You don't have to play it. Just saying, right? Am I right? Right. All right. Okay. I had to put it out there for give credit where credit is due. That's it. We're a little over. We're gonna wrap this sucker up. We're gonna wrap this sucker up. Thanks everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody here that are patrons or supporters of the show here on Patreon or here on YouTube. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Patrick, thanks for the super chat. I much appreciate it as well. What else is there to say? Go spend time. Go game. Go game. What are you doing here? Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you next week where I stream here every Saturday, 8 a.m. I'm open to topic discussions. I want to put it out there. I'll post it out to the Patreons and say, hey, what do you think would spur a good discussion? Like, some of these are dead horses. I totally get it. It's something it's I can't tackle and wrestle with every week. I don't know, but it's sometimes interesting to find out what other people are doing and what they think of certain things. So, spend time with people you appreciate. Don't spend time with people you don't appreciate. Take some time to yourself if you need to. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. And hope to see you on the next one. Thanks so much for keeping me company for the last hour. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll hope to catch you on the next one next week. See ya.